Hi everyone, I am back in the office. This is post Saturday show. We have so many books down here that need to go ahead and get final organized and prepped for shipping. These are bundles. This is how I run my Whatnot show. If you've ever seen a show from me before, you know exactly how it works. If you haven't and you're curious about bundling and how I can maybe sell sort of more books in one show, not doing individual auctions, but instead utilizing bundling, definitely stick around. This video is going to be perfect for you. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk for a second about these bundles, why I do them, and how exactly it works, right? So to kind of give you guys the best overview, I sort of narrowed it down to three main reasons why I utilize bundles. And I'm gonna go over those one at a time here. So I think the first reason is money, fees. There is definitely a fee structure set up with Whatnot that doesn't encourage individual auctions as much. And that is going to be the 30 cents per transaction fee. So as you all know, if you haven't ever heard or seen, here's the fee structure really quick. So Whatnot is going to take 8% of your sales based on just the sales price of the item. So if you sell an item for $10, Whatnot is going to take 8% of that $10. They're also going to take a processing fee, which is 2.9%. And that's going to be the fee that is assessed on the total product value, so the $10, the shipping, and the tax. And all of that combined will be your 2.9% on top of the 8%. And then every single individual transaction, every time you run an auction or someone purchases something from your buy it now, it is 30 cents. So that's kind of the fee structure if you're not familiar. And because of that 30 cents, if I wanted to sell a stack of books here, let's just take this one for example, because it's the closest to me, and I'll kind of start showing you guys what I mean. Let's say I wanted to sell all of these books to this person who got these books. There's 5 books here. So instead of paying 30 cents on this entire bundle of books, because this is one transaction where the buyer bought all of these books at one time in one purchase, I would have paid $1.50 on this bundle of 5 individual purchases in just transaction fees of 30 cents per purchase, or I could pay 30 cents for the entire bundle. So you can see how individual transactions can cut into your overall profit. So that is the big reason. That's number one. Reason number two is a little more short, simple, and accurate for me, and it is that I don't have to do listings. I don't have to make individual listings for every single book that I want to show in my show that evening. I'm showing upwards of hundreds of books per show. So I couldn't take time to sit here and picture every single one of these books. That would take a lot of time, and listing is my least favorite thing to do. So it's a win-win for me. I don't have to do a lot of individual listings, and I just am able to show the items on screen live, and I just think it's a little bit faster and easier, which actually ironically brings us into point 3, which is flow and the speed of the show, the way that the show feels when you're watching it. Instead of having to run a ton of just individual auctions over and over and over again throughout the entire show, I'm just taking requests. So every time somebody wants a book, I'm putting it into their pile, and then I'm continuing on with the show. If someone wants the next book I'm showing, putting that into their pile. Instead of having to fumble around in the back of the stream, starting auctions and running auctions, labeling what the auction was, or having it all taken time to have been pre-listed, right? So that is my preference, but that is simply because I'm doing so many books in a show. If I was only bringing maybe 20 or 30 books per show, I would probably do individual listings. I would still utilize bundling, but I may actually take the time to do listings as well. That's really the bundling 101 of it for me. It is just the matter of the fact of the fee structure, the time it would take to do listings, and the way that the show ends up flowing because of doing bundles. Now, I do want to show you guys back here. Don't get me wrong. I do have a buy it now section. So this shelf over here is my buy it now items. These are items that people can buy that I have pre-listed in my store. And I actually have down here kind of behind me, you see these stacks. Those are stacks of books that need to be listed into the buy it now. So I do make listings. I don't have to avoid listings altogether and completely, but that is on my own time, and that is considered, in my opinion, more of a passive income in my show. So those books, when in reference to bundling, can get bundled. Somebody could say, hey, you know, just to avoid the fee and the time, can you just take that item out of the buy it now and put it in my bundle? And I always say yes, because that saves me 30 cents. That's the gist of why I do it. So now what I want to do is go ahead and show you guys what sold. I want to go through some of these bundles. I want to show you some of the diversity and the variety that are in these bundles. I want to show you how I organize the bundles, how I keep them organized, and then what it looks like on the seller dashboard, and how I'm going to move all of these from the floor in here to the floor over there and prep for packing. Let's start showing the stuff that actually sold. Let me give you some context here, right? So we have all of these books. These are all bundles. You can see there's name tags on each stack. These are piles of books that sold to one person in each pile with more than 1 or 2 books at a time, right? So this would be considered a bundle. You can see they range, some of the stacks being much higher with lots of books and a lot of variety. And then you have some smaller stacks. And then over here, this is going to be the stuff that went on auction. It's a little hard to understand my organization system, but I'm going to explain this to you here. The way I run my auctions is by set listings by weight. For example, running this book is an 8 to 11 ounce book, number 4. That's what auction it was. It was the 4th auction of 8 to 11 ounce books. I have to run that book at 8 to 11 ounces, but I needed to run this book at 2 to 3 pounds. This is a heavy book. This book is like 2.5 pounds. So I can't run an auction and have the buyer pay the right shipping on that book and that book if they're both just listed as book, right? They are listed by the weight. So real quick, the way that I do my weights is as follows. It's super simple. I'm gonna pop it up here on the screen. First listing is 4 to 7 ounces. The next listing is 8 to 11 ounces. Then I have 12 to 15 ounces. Then the pounds go 1 to 2 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds, 3 to 4 pounds. And then I think that's it for how I list in my auction. 3 to 4 pounds is the highest that I have because I very rarely have a book that weighs more than 4 pounds. If I do, I'll just make a special listing for it. Prime example, last night we had a book. It's actually a 2-book boxed set, absolutely gorgeous, Mickey and Minnie art collection, gorgeous, gorgeous book. This book weighed, what was it, 5 pounds, 6 pounds? I think it weighed 6 pounds. Like, this thing is heavy. So I don't have something in the auction to do a 6-pound book. So I just made a listing real quick. I took a little screenshot of it. I went to my listings page, and live in the auction, I just created a listing. It took maybe 10 or 15 seconds. It's very fast to do. So that is what you're looking at over here. So let's go back so I can kind of show you. Okay, so last night I did not have any 4 to 7 ounce books. Normally I'd have those here. No 4 to 7 ounce books. So this is our stack of 8 to 11s. And then there's no number on this one just because it was the last auction and I just knew what it was. But other than that, you can see below. So we have 1 to 2 pounds, number 4. We had 1 to 2 pounds, number 3. 1 to 2 pounds, number 2. And then 1 to 2 pounds, number 1. So you kind of get it. I know it's probably a little challenging to read there, but hopefully you understand my gist. And then here we have 12 to 15, number 2, 12 to 15, number 1. And then those were the 2 to 3 pounders right there. Now that you kind of understand how those kind of auction listings work and how I label them, that's how I do it. I literally use Post-it notes. I just label each individual book. If you have more questions about that, please just drop it in the comments. I will clarify anything you guys need to know. Next, let's kind of look at some of these bundles here. I think that you can see there's a decent variety, but I want to kind of just go through some of them. Let's just go through what's in front of me. So we have a kids chapter, a graphic novel, and a young adult graphic novel. So that's a fun little bundle. Here we have a Dear America book. We have a adult historical fiction. We have a classic, Goosebumps. And then we have a cute little picture book, The Pup and the Bear. So great little variety in that stack. Over here, we've got a blend of beginner chapter books. We have, these are also beginner chapter books, really. We have a Christmas book, 2 Christmas books, 2 adult Christmas books. And then we also have an adult thriller book. This Is How I Lie. And then we have a Halloween book, Pete the Cat Halloween book. We have a leveled reader over here. And then we also had a magazine, this Remembering Grace magazine. So Very interesting little variety there. And this one has some pretty good variety. So you've got some kids board books, you have some adult thriller, you have a kids cookbook, a nonfiction, more like picture books, another cookbook, some I Spies, and a Nat Geo Kids. We've got paranormal, kind of like vampire young adult. We've got a wedding planner. We have a holiday book, a kid's board book about pumpkins, and then a drawing book for like older kids. The last example I want to show you here while I'm down here on the ground looking at these bundles is going to be Miss Morgan. Morgan is a regular of mine. As you can see, she's got a name tag there. And she's another buyer who buys quite a variety of stuff. You can see there's definitely a variety of items in here. Now, this is her pile from Saturday. I just counted, and I believe it was 23 items, counting all of the Bob books as one single item. It was about 23 different individual books. And as you can imagine, the fees on 23 books would have been high for me. But more importantly, is it fair to say that there's a strong chance that Morgan may not have bought all of those books had she had to go individually look through the auction tab and request all of those books, right? Like maybe I would just run all the auctions I had listed anyway. So it didn't matter. No one needs to really request anything. I'm just going to run all of them. That's the devil's advocate point. But for somebody who's dealing in bulk, if you're dealing with a ton of books and you have a lot to offer, I think not doing individual listings, showing the books on screen, and just letting people make piles is what gets you these larger stacks of books. That's my opinion on it. I may be wrong. I am definitely not trying to convince anyone or everyone to switch over to bundles. I do want to make a point and a case for the benefit of bundles if you've never given it a try. Let me show you guys the name tags real quick and then we will move on. As you can see, like I just pointed out on Morgan's bundle, a lot of these do have like a printed out name tag, right? With a color. These are people that are regulars. These are people that come into my show every week and make a pile of books. Now, anyone who doesn't have a printed out name tag, I still love and appreciate you, but either you're new, I've never seen you, or you don't come in often enough. So I don't like have a printed out name tag. So I do use little Post-it notes, right? So these are just little sticky individual notes that I have written the person's name down on, and that's how I start their pile. So when they come in, so this is Amy, she actually is a regular, she needs a name tag. She'll come in and say, she'll claim a book. I'll just go ahead and write on a Post-it note, Amy, this is her screen name, and then I will stick it on the book, and then throughout the night, as she adds more books to her pile, I have the one Post-it note, and I just keep adding books and adding books and adding books. So the name tags are just really helpful. It's more personal. I also have a color association, so like a lot of them, I can just see the color and know whose name tag it is. And that's just really helpful for keeping things quick and organized as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how I facilitate bundling in my shows. How do I get people to know how it works and how to bundle, right? So there are a few different things I use. First up is obviously going to be explaining to people how it works. So when I am getting the show started and multiple times throughout the show, I'm always mentioning exactly how it's working. So I'm saying, hey guys, just so you know, we do bundles on my show, which means as I'm showing new inventory, I'm going to keep pulling books one at a time. If you see something you like, let me know by saying the title. I'll take that book and I'll put it into a pile for you, and I'll keep adding to that pile until you're ready to cash out. I do run individual auctions as well if more than one person's interested, but for the most part, I do a lot of bundling on my show. I will say that 7 or 8 times throughout a show mostly so that people know. Paired with saying that over and over again, if you've ever seen one of my shows, down at the bottom, you'll see something that says, a description of what I'm doing, right? So at the very beginning, it might say, hi, welcome to my show, check out the auction tab, all my shelves are pictured, right now is loaded, ask any questions. And then when I'm showing new inventory, it's gonna say kind of what I just said, as much as I can fit into that little title and description. Now, what that is, just for context, is it's an auction listing. I have literally gone in and created an auction listing with the title and description. And then when I pin that to my show, which is just the little thumbtack button in the auction tab, I will pin it and it'll pop up to the bottom. And what that one normally says is like, welcome in, showing new inventory, claim book by saying title. I also say something like, most of my books are under $4. $5 and up books will be stated. So I'm kind of giving people a little bit of idea of how much pricing is, that I'm doing bundles, and hello, right? I'm welcoming them in still. And so I'll try to pin something up so you guys can see what that looks like here, where it's pinned up at the bottom. And then the other thing that I use is show notes. So at the top of your screen or somewhere on the side of your screen is going to be the show notes. And I tend to just copy and paste those every single show. It's almost the same exact thing. It's an explanation of what's going on, some of the set pricing I have, and the fact that I do bundling is mentioned in there so that people have multiple avenues, whether it's me saying it, whether it being pinned up on the screen or in the show notes, that I do bundles, right? I want people to know that and make that known. So that's kind of how I'm facilitating the bundles and getting people to understand how the show works. So now that I've shown you a little bit about the bundles, I want to go ahead and show you a little bit of what the seller dashboard sort of like looks like and how I'm going to take these bundles and move them to the next room for shipping. So let's take a peek over here at the computer. And this is the seller dashboard, and it looks like there is about 34 pending shipments. So the first thing that I like to do is go ahead and put the orders in alphabetical order. So I use this little bar up here at the top, and you can see it toggles through. It's going to change it to the different types of orders. So this is in alphabetical order, and that's how I'm going to go ahead and start pulling the orders. So once I open it up, bring everyone's orders up, I can start pulling the individual orders. I'm going to go ahead and start here with Amy. She has a bundle and she has 3 books that she won on auction. So we actually showed Amy's pile a little bit ago. Where is she at? Right here. Amy 5 Kids. So this is her pile, her bundle. And then I'm going to come down here. She has books 1 to 2, 4, and 5. You can see here. And then she has books 12 to 15, number 2. So 1 to 2, 4, and 5, and 12 to 15, 2. All right. And like I said earlier, this doesn't have a label on it. I just knew that was the last auction we did. So this is our first bundle that I'm going to move over to the other room. So we just bring it right on over here and start my pile. And so what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to go down the lines here, putting everything in alphabetical order. All right, our next buyer actually bought something just from the Buy It Now, which is over here. So let me go ahead and grab that. It is this gorgeous Promises of God storybook Bible. And while I'm going to minimize my steps, I'm going to grab my next order, which is Brittany, B.S. Lee's, and go ahead and take those over there. So then that is our second bundle and our third bundle. So next up is Cassie, and got her bundle here, really nice simple bundle. And then we have Deb. Deb is a new buyer. This is Deb here. Let's see, can we grab one more? Sometimes you can, nope. Emily has too many things, so we'll go ahead and pop these over. So we have Emily. So Emily has a name tag. She's pretty easy to spot. She's got a pretty nice bundle here. And then she had, good catch. And then she had 12 to 15 book 1. Go ahead and add that in the bottom there. And then she had 2 Buy It Now listings, the Ocean Collection boxed set and the Magic School Bus Fishy Field Trip book. Here, Ocean Collection and Fishy Field Trip. So this is everything all set up. This is what it looks like once it's moved into this room. Definitely takes up a lot of floor space, but now all of these books are ready to be shipped. These are all of the individual bundles. I think it was 34 shipments individual, and now we just gotta ship. That's it. Unfortunately, there's no way I'm gonna have all of these packages actually shipped by the time I'm editing this video. So unfortunately, I apologize. I cannot give you the raw details, but I promise that once I get everything shipped in the next 2 days, I will have all of the numbers broken down into the comments. So if you're watching this video like either the day of or after it's published, it should be in the comments. If not, look for it soon, and I will put down there what my actual like profit was from this show. Now, like I said earlier, just a slight disclaimer, this was actually not a great Saturday show. My sales, I have written down, my sales were $526. So that was my net sales. However, I had some things working against me. For one, all this inventory was backstock inventory. This is like very mediocre, very okay stuff. They were good books. They were definitely books that I think are desirable, but they just are either similar to stuff I already have on the shelves, or they're just stuff people have seen before. So there wasn't a whole lot of new stuff. So that's a big reason why the sales are so low, because normally on a Saturday, I'm hitting a lot closer to like the $800 to $1,000 range. Regardless, one of the other things that was working against me was the coupon spend. So we have a rewards program now on Whatnot, which I love and adore. And a lot of people hit that bronze tier, which is a $5 off coupon. And I'm seeing it being used quite a bit. And just in Saturday's show, I had $45 in coupon spend, and that comes directly out of my profit. So I was down about $45 from offering that coupon, which is totally fine, but that does count. And then my cost of goods were about $64. So cost of goods and coupon brings me down about $100 right off the bat. So not going to be a super profitable show as far as like good money, and definitely not for a Saturday, but it was what it was. Again, I also mentioned sourcing has been kind of crappy this week. It's just been slim pickings and it's just been rough. It's actually been kind of crappy since I've been home for the last like 2 weeks. So I'm working on limited inventory. That's why this show was a lot of this backstock inventory. So hopefully I can get my hands on some quality inventory here in the next few days and have another really good week this week to kind of make up for the loss of this past Saturday show. But regardless, it was good, and I will take what I can get. All right, so I want to circle back to the beginning where I talked about the 3 main reasons why I bundle and just kind of reiterate those, right? So it was the fee structure, the listing, and the flow of the show. Hopefully through this video, you've kind of been able to understand how it works a little bit more. Of course, if you have any questions, please drop it in the comments. But the fee structure, I feel like, is so self-explanatory. 30 cents per transaction adds up, and you do not want to be stuck at the end of the show wondering where all your profit went, and it's because you were just being 30 cents at a time every single auction and transaction. 2, if you don't like listing like I do, this is a great method to just pull all your books out, put them on a table, or all your items, whatever they are, go through them one at a time and run auctions or make bundles depending on the weight of the item. It is so much easier. I really, really, really encourage it if you don't like listing, because it takes out so much work and it takes out the headache of that work as well, right? And then the last thing was the flow of the show. I truly believe that by having bundles and making piles, I am able to go through so many more books so much faster than if I was to be running a ton of individual auctions. So those are just some things to think about. That's why I do it. You may have your own reasons. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them in the comments. I am more than happy to respond to your comments, and I usually always do. So please let me know if you have any questions. I highly, highly recommend checking out the concept of bundling if you are having trouble with individual auctions. This could be a great way for you to pivot, and I just think it's something you should consider. Remember, I always recommend you doing at least 5 Whatnot shows before you call it quits. Find different ways to pivot, find different ways to sell, see what works for you and for your buyer base, and bundling may just be the answer, so possibly think about giving it a try. All right, so let's go ahead and call it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys are interested in Whatnot content and you haven't checked out some of my other videos, I highly encourage you to. I have like a good step-by-step guide. I have how I sell, all kinds of steps in the process from sourcing to shipping on Whatnot. So definitely check those out. Just click on my profile and you'll be able to find those. But as always, have a wonderful week until I see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.